Hey everybody, welcome back to the basement. Welcome back to the layout. Today we're going to be checking out this unique looking diesel locomotive from Lionel. This is the U28C. It's offered in a bunch of different road names, and a few custom versions are out there as well. And we're going to check it out right here on Chris's Trains and Things. Let's go. All right, so I give a shout out to my friends over at Train World for hooking me up with this locomotive here. If you're looking for anything new coming out from Lionel, MTH or Atlas, Train World's where I do a lot of my shopping for trains, and you can access whole plethora of inventory from them. Now, this model is the Pennsylvania Railroad version. So, of course, I have a lot of Pennsy stuff in my collection. It made sense for us to grab this one to do this demo and this review today. But really interesting locomotive. Not something that I typically would have added to my collection, but I thought, why not? Let's go ahead and grab this one and so we can check it out together. It has a unique history. You know, these were built in 1966. About 71 U28Cs were produced by General Electric, kind of in a horsepower competition with Alco and EMD, and these guys came in slightly underpowered. They were about 2,800 horsepower, hence U28C. They feature 6 axles, so 3 axles per truck. And you know, the model itself that we have here is actually powered quite well. I went through kind of all the stats on it as I was working through getting this review ready, and it weighs about 5.5 pounds and was able to pull 3.5 pounds of freight. So that's pretty solid. So it's going to be able to pull lots of H21A hoppers, even those die-cast ones that weigh a pretty penny. And so we're going to pull a few of them today as we go ahead and talk about this locomotive. But let's get a closer look at this. We'll talk about some of the other ones that Lionel cataloged in their Volume 1 catalog from 2024. These were just delivered here in January of 2025. So about a year for production was fairly common for what we're seeing with Lionel today. So let's go ahead and dive into this guy. So here you have it, the PRR version of the U28C. Now, Lionel did offer a wide range of versions for these when they cataloged them in 2024. In fact, there were 7 total road names that were done, and each one had 2 cab numbers. So lots of different SKUs on these, but they were produced in Conrail, Louisville and Nashville, PRR, Penn Central, Southern Pacific, Union Pacific, and Seaboard. And then Metka did do a custom run of a Support Our Troops camouflaged version. And I believe Mr. Muffins also did a Pittsburgh Lake Erie version with PGH Train Fanatics name on the rear of the locomotive. So kind of a custom run for Nick over there from PGH, which is pretty cool for him. And the catalog versions, they state, do feature some road-specific roof and lighting details that, you know, if you dive into the catalog, you can see a little bit more distinctly. On the Union Pacific version, you are going to not have, the horn is going to be set back behind the exhaust, and you're going to have a strobe light up on top of the cab. On the Southern Pacific version, the horn is moved up right behind the cab, and you've kind of got like a forward-facing red strobe light. Details on this locomotive are mostly molded in with some separately applied details. You know, you've got these big 6-axle trucks, and all the wheels on these trucks are flanged as well. Sometimes when you see these 6-axle trucks, the middle wheel is not flanged, so it can navigate some narrower curves. But at 17 inches in length, this model can operate on 031 curves. So you can still use this on your smallest of layouts. Now, the prototype was 64 feet 4 inches in length. So if we're looking at true 1/48 scale, this model should be actually about 16 inches in length. So it's about an inch longer than it really should be. Of course, some of that might be taken into account because of the giant lobster claw electrocouplers we have on the front and rear of this locomotive. Now, we do have diamond treading all the way around on this locomotive, and then you do have the drop plates here on the front that are hinged, which are nice. So if you're lashing these up, you can go ahead and drop those down. Run program switches are accessible through the rear hatch here. We'll take a look at that. And the smoke fluid is applied right through the stack, and this grate pops off because it's got those grates there. So you can pop that off so you can add your smoke fluid and then pop that guy right back into place. We're gonna have full LED lighting on board this guy, and it's got a metal chassis, as I mentioned, about 5.5 pounds of weight. This is a pretty heavy model for the size, and that weight does allow it to pull, you know, about 3.5 pounds of freight, which is pretty great as well. So a unique looking locomotive and not a fully successful locomotive in the prototype world. As we had mentioned, these were a little underpowered, and the race for 3,000 horsepower, the SD40s and 45s really kind of took over and became a lot more popular than these guys were on the railroad. But a unique locomotive for sure. I think this thing would look fantastic, whether just pulling some coal. We're not going to be doing that today, but we're going to put some coal hoppers and some other, maybe some mixed freight on here as well, and run this guy around the layout. It does feature that full legacy rail sounds, and so we're going to have 5 horn options and 5 bell chime options as well. So we'll work our way through those as we get started, and then we're going to send it around the layout.
This is the dispatcher. Start up and hold. Over. Okay, let's get to work. Out. Dispatcher out. Dispatcher, how's the track look? Am I clear? Over. That's affirmative. All go ahead. Out. Dispatcher, pulling in now. Am I clear inbound? Over. Copy that. All lined up and clear inbound. Dispatcher out. Dispatcher, we're done for the day. Out.
All right, everyone, so that's the U28C from Lionel. I'm going to have a U30C here in the collection soon. I'm actually heading to Springfield for the Big E show up in Massachusetts this weekend, and I'm picking one up from Trains. It's a used one from the previous release, which I believe was 2012, and the MSRP on these is $649, and I believe the MSRP back then was $549 or $599. So that was, 12 years ago. But I was able to pick one up from Trains. It's a Conrail version. We're going to see it in a little while. So we'll be able to kind of see some of the similarities and differences between the U28C and U30C, if we can even tell the difference. But thanks for tuning in for this one, guys. I appreciate it. Hit me up in the comments what are your thoughts on this locomotive and what's the next thing that you're hoping to add to your collection. Thanks, guys. Take care.